Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome once again to the eastern wing of the Stink Bug Works. As part of my normal daily routine, one of the first things I do is I watch Big B's videos. And interestingly enough, today's Big B video actually provided me with some information I was trying to gather. He just finished rebuilding his, I don't want to call it the shrimp boat. He called it the Superclad. Okay, the Superclad. Anyway, he put this same 2968 4000 kV rocket motor in his boat, and he ran it on 3S, and that's exactly my plan for this. He also has a 1/8 shaft, so do I. And he fooled around with a couple of propellers, and one worked a little better than the other, and so that got me to thinking, and I had already run some numbers on my old version of FE Calc, and they said, a 632 would give you a reasonable amp draw, like 75 amps. That's not a whole lot. So a reasonable amp draw and decent speed, the question being, cavitation and such. So a bigger prop would work better. And Big B did run some bigger props on this. Temperatures were okay, so I think that's going to be where I start. And I think I'm going to use the same prop that I used on that fiberglass rigger, that crooked Chinese thing. And that was a 35 millimeter by 1.8, and it was kind of a cleaver prop, perfect for a rigger. And so I think I may start with that same prop here. It's got a 1/8 bore. Now I know Big B shims his up, and that's perfectly acceptable. But if I don't have to do that, I don't have to do that. So a couple of things here on the Silver Bullet build. I used this style motor mount. It's a whole lot easier to get your motor in and out when it's held with one bolt and it just comes out of the bracket. And quite frankly, this is every bit as sturdy as two horizontal holes. Actually, horizontal isn't the optimum mounting. The optimum mounting would be vertical to resist these loads, because there aren't a whole lot of loads this way, but there's a whole bunch of loads this way. So ideally, they should be like this. So I like this style motor mount. I'm going to use it more often when the opportunity fits. Yeah, you have to do some fiddling. Yeah, you're limited to one side. They don't make a mirror for cats. So I guess you could do a little grinding and flip this thing over. You notice the bottom is beveled to match the angle here, but like for this, I had to change it up, so I gave this a ride on the belt sander to match that angle. And I'm going to use this Hobby Wing Sea King 120 ESC. I like these things for a number of reasons. My biggest reason is they don't take up a lot of real estate. Look, I can slip this little puppy in that little tiny area. What other speed control would fit in there? Plus the programming's right. It actually has a third channel that you can momentarily hit channel 3 and advance the timing. Although this is a delta wind motor, so a timing advance isn't going to do a whole lot. A Y wind motor would see a little bit bigger improvement in RPM at the loss of some efficiency. But anyway, this is going to be about a 70 or 80 amp setup, so I'm going to be way below this thing's amp rating. I'm not sure exactly where the speed control is going to go. That's why it's floating around here. It may wind up back here. It may wind up moved up forward. I just don't know. And that's all a function of the battery. I'm going to run a 2.25 milliamp hour 3S pack. Here's some interesting things. In my old parts bin, I had this old Fuller strut where the nose had actually been, factory reduced to fit over some Teflon tubing. And eventually, when the boat's ready to go, I'll put a piece of shrink tube over this joint, and that will be that. So this strut was specifically designed to go like that with a piece of shrink over it. Standard servo. I'm running a 1/16 wire drive, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with this Teflon tube. The Teflon tube's mainly to give me a watertight seal between the hull and this. And so if any water gets in, it'll get in through these lead Teflon bearings, and they're pretty tight. And so, I don't know, I could just fill up this whole tube with grease for that matter, and we'll see how watertight this stays. So I've used some E6000 to seal this end here. Turn fin, I'm going to make a turn fin. A rigger needs a big, curved turn fin if it's going to hang in on the turns. That's about it. Yeah, my cooling runs are a bit long, and this thing up here, they made the hatch cover to fit my weird water cooling. So, and of course I haven't decided where the exit goes because that depends on this. So, a lot of thanks to Big B for giving me some ideas to get this going. This was, as I told you once before, my side project, and I only work on it, if I'm mixing up epoxy like I did for the Redbird, rest in peace, to glue in the weights out there in the wing so it would self-right. I put this motor in here, and now it's darn near ready to go. There's not much more. Turn fin, think about this. The battery's on order. It should show up in a day or two. So this might get its maiden next Monday. Let's see, I'm retired and the days all run into a blur. I think today is Wednesday. Yeah, it's probably Wednesday. So next week, I should have this going. So look for a maiden on this. Okay, boys and girls, until then, jet out.